Last year, I set out on a massive road trip to visit the north, east, south, and westernmost points of the contiguous US. It didn't go so well.
My friend Nathaniel had embarked on this journey with me to visit the aforementioned extreme points. We only made it to the northernmost point before disaster struck and my car broke down in Flint, Michigan. Now, this was an insane plan, of course, even more so this year. However, I was determined, so I set out once again to finish what I had started. A journey spanning 34 states, 40 days, and over 10,000 miles. This is the Big Loop 2. We start out as all great journeys do, just outside Miles City, Montana.
Do you remember last year when we set out on a road trip that we had talked about since middle school? And then it almost... Oh yeah. I'm alone.
That's right, I'll be alone for most of this trip. Just me, the car, the road, and the existential dread lingering in the back of my mind. Can't worry about that, though, it's time to drive.
But yeah, we're back. Well, I'm back. As you can see, new year, new car, newer car. It's still like 10 years old. Pros to the new car, it's much younger. It has less miles on it. It's more comfortable, I'd say, to drive. You know, the handling's definitely better. You know, it's all covered really in the newer car part. There are some cons though. For one, the AC just doesn't blast the same. Secondly, I don't know, this car just isn't as nostalgic for me. Like, I probably spent more time in it than the Legacy, but like, I don't know, there's just something about that car. It's like the first car I had ever been in, or at least like remembered being in, so, you know, it's much less impressive to do a massive cross-country road trip in a 2012 Outback, you know?
Now this year, I'd be taking a new route, as I already visited the northernmost point last year and I didn't see a reason to return. So it's time for a new path going a bit more south before reconnecting with the original loop route. Although there are a handful of interesting Badlands features, there's honestly not too much to say as I drive through eastern Montana, so let's fast forward a little bit. Pause for cows. After a few hours of driving, it's time for the first state crossing.
Let's go, state number 2 of the trip.
I mean, it is North Dakota, so not the most exciting crossing, but there are still some Badlands, so I'll enjoy them before I reach the Flat. Also a random dinosaur sculpture. But the real excitement is that from here on out, almost everything I see will be brand new to me. Almost all new roads, new counties, and a good chunk of the states I'll be passing through I've never been to before. My first real stop was just outside Bowman to see a cowboy riding a missile. Pretend the hat is still there. I love random junk sculptures, and I hope you do too, since that's a lot of what there is to see out here.
We're going on this rickety-ass bridge. Oh, fuck. This is a bad idea.
The excitement continues. I then pass by the town of Scranton. It's crazy to think that this is where they filmed The Office. I would say that joke's probably been done to death, but that would require people knowing about the existence of Scranton, North Dakota. While many people might not find driving through small towns to be the most interesting, I kind of enjoy it because you never know what you might see. Like dinosaurs. Sure, I'll pull over for random dinosaurs in a park, why not? Also this mural, which has a very inspirational quote. "You have one shot, make it count." Kind of ironic to read on the second attempt of a trip gone wrong. Continuing on to the second state crossing of the trip.
State number 3, let's go. It is so hazy out right now. This is not okay.
Shortly after, I arrived at the town of Lemon, which had these streetlights that bathed the town in an eerie purple glow. I have not seen any other town with this color of light, but there's also a scrap metal dinosaur statue with what else but a cowboy riding it. However, the real draw of this town is the Petrified Forest Park, which might be one of the strangest places I visited overall on the trip. I do wish I got to see it in the daytime, but the atmosphere added by the twilight lighting is impeccable. This place felt cursed. I saw this gate that looked like, oh, if you step through it, you'll be transported to another dimension. I'm not superstitious, but I saw this abandoned bike here and decided that if the supernatural is real, this is not where I'm gonna find out about it. Oh yeah, there's also a jail cell type structure. I don't know what that's about. It being pretty late at night, plus the strange vibes of this place, made it feel like I was going on a Prairie Madness speedrun. What would usually take a few days is now happening in a matter of hours. At one point I saw a sign that said, "Road work ahead, please consider alternate route," and of course my brain goes, It's road work, it can't be that bad.
Road work ahead? Yeah, I sure hope it does.
Oh, it doesn't! The road is just gone. The quality also got worse after that clip. Like, it wasn't like, oh, it's a dirt road. No, it's like dirt with some cones around it. They just tore up the road entirely. So after a stretch that was more stressful than some backcountry mountain roads, I'd finally made it to my camp in Mobridge and was already in Central Time Zone. I started out day 2 being able to actually see my campsite in Mobridge, and it exists. There was one thing I wanted to see in Mobridge before starting to drive, this fish statue. Just a completely normal statue of a walleye. Yeah, there's a cowboy riding it. What do you expect?
Day 2, big day today. We're gonna have our first meeting. That feels too formal of a word of the trip. Gonna be meeting Pim at the world's largest ball of twine asterisk in Minnesota. But first,
I got a chip on the windshield. I wasn't setting that up in the clip, but a truck passed me on a gravelly section of road with like a cartoon cloud of like rocks and dust surrounding it. Honestly, a miracle I only got one chip because it sounded like I was driving through a hailstorm. What I was actually talking about before was my next stop, Eureka, South Dakota. I just had to see the wheat capital of the world. Nah, the actual reason might be even worse. It's because the county it's located, McPherson County, is the least visited county in the contiguous US. Or at least it was when I went there. Now it's Logan County, North Dakota, maybe. I'm getting this information from mobrule.com, a website for county collectors, and if it's the least visited among people who go out of their way to visit different counties and keep track of them, then yeah, there's probably a decent chance it's the least visited. But just how is the county? I mean, it's like most other counties in South Dakota, there's a lot of prairie and farmland. Yep. I probably added at least an extra hour of driving just to do this. I also stopped in Leola, which is the county seat and the rhubarb capital of the world. Neither of these claims are backed by anything. But, I mean, who's gonna call them out? Are you gonna do it? When driving through the mountains, I like to take a ton of videos because each turn has the potential for a new exciting view, but driving through South Dakota, it's pretty much just this for hours. Sometimes a town or a city. Maybe you'll see something interesting there. I hope y'all are enjoying this knockoff dash cam, which is just my phone in a stand. Anyways, let's fast forward to the next time something happens.
there we go. State number 4. Let's go.
Of course, the first thing to do in Minnesota is stop at a lake.
This is Big Stone Lake on the border of South Dakota and Minnesota.
So, Ortonville, which is back there, is right on the border with South Dakota. So I figure, you know what, I'm gonna walk over the border just to say I've done that. Just for the novelty of it. You can tell where the border is because of the change in road quality. Well, I'm pretty sure the border is back where the road changes quality, but this is like the first actual thing that indicates you're in South Dakota, so I'll go to here.
Ortonville has kind of a neat vibe though for a small town. I also saw what I could only assume was the big stone from which Big Stone Lake gets its name. That's actually because it's a big lake with a lot of stones. The landscape here is pretty similar to South Dakota, but with a few more towns, so let's skip forward about 2 hours. As I mentioned earlier, the main stop of the day was at the world's largest ball of twine, made by one man, in Darwin, Minnesota. That qualifier is there because there's another ball of twine in Kansas that was smaller, but then more people added to it, so Minnesota had to add the qualifier. Because that's right, this was made by one guy.
Oh, I can follow them on Facebook.
I also met up with Timothy Ann here because what else could we do in southwestern Minnesota? Not shown here is the extreme hunch position I had to be in at this height. This was a grimace of pain. There's also an attached museum which, like many small towns, is just an old house filled with stuff, but as long as you print information about it, it counts as a museum. This here is what America is all about, making obscenely large objects out of obsession, often for war. Francis A. Johnson, the mind behind the twine, also carved a lot of pliers, including these 7-foot-long ones. And people say autism is a new thing. Some of my other favorite objects in the museum include the misspelled Puyallup, Washington, Dusty Darwin, Australia fridge magnet, squirrel, fish trophy, butter trophy, and corn husking trophy. I mean, that's a tough win. They must have had to beat Nebraska, and that's like their whole thing. Do you think they even still do this? I mean, I could Google it, but I think it's more fun to speculate. I haven't even mentioned the Weird Al song yet. There's so much to say about the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota. That song is almost 7 minutes long, and Weird Al got a shrine and a street named after him for it. And I'd say it's deserved. Then, after a Midwestern-esque conversation where we said goodbye at least 3 times in a parking lot, but then continued to talk about the weather and roads construction, I headed on over to Minneapolis. After 2 long days of driving, I was gonna call it an early day. Oh look, there's trees now.
It's day 3. We have the breakfast of champions, a lunch meat and cheese sandwich because they stopped serving breakfast at 9 and I woke up at 9:06.
This day, I'd be checking out Minneapolis, starting out with that big ol' spoon. It was under construction. I mean, you can still see it, but it does take away a little bit to have the perimeter of fences around it. It's not the only piece in this sculpture garden, though. You've heard of blue balls, but what about a blue cock? Screensaver, a horse that I only paid attention to because the artist is from Montana, and many more that I couldn't come up with a bit for. Nearby is the Walker Gallery, which is an art museum, which I would summarize by saying it features lots of art that fascists would say isn't art. I hope you understand the vibe when I say that. Now, I'm not going to show a lot of it because, for one, I've realized me filming art museums might violate copyright law being in a YouTube video, but maybe as long as I, talk about it, it's fine, I don't know. He says while still showing some art. But also, a lot of this stuff is kind of intense and would probably get flagged. I would like to recreate a piece I saw, so imagine a dark room with a kind of crinkly floor and eerie noises playing on a speaker, and then you turn a corner and see this on a screen. I would recommend this museum because while it did have some kind of disturbing artworks, it did make me feel, and that's more than I can say about, some art museums. So I've been trying to summarize all my thoughts on the art into 2 minutes, but I'm realizing that's really hard to do. Does that sound like a cop-out? Kinda. You try summarizing your thoughts on an art museum into 2 minutes. I'm spending too much time on this. I had other things I wanted to see in the cities. Fun fact, Minneapolis tests out their tornado sirens on the first Wednesday of every month. Didn't know that, but saw nobody else reacting, so I figured, it's probably fine. Next, I decided to check out the Como Park Zoo in St. Paul for one main reason. It's free. I couldn't wait to see my favorite animal. Nothing. The first exhibit was actually empty. As for what they actually have, great apes luring me to get closer. Presumably to kill me, wear my clothes as a disguise, and subsequently escape. Fair enough. Also in the primate house were these little guys, and holy shit, she's eating her child. Dragon. There's also the big cat area, and big cats are just cats but big. Most of them are just napping in the corner. The porcupines were also here for some reason, and I got to see them eat. Who wouldn't dream of watching a quilly beast consume peppers? There are also these machines scattered around the zoo that would mold a plastic figure on the spot, and they smelled horrible. The giraffes and ostriches were in the same enclosure. When you really think about it, ostriches are the giraffes of birds. Fish, tortoise, sea lion caves in Oregon. Nearby, also in Como Park, there's a conservatory and Japanese garden. Why was the fig tree pruned? To encourage new growth because it only blooms and develops new fruit on new annual growth. This type of pruning is called pollarding. I'm not sure I get the joke, but I'm no botanist, horticulturalist, plant doctor. His garden's pretty neat. Afterwards, I decided to check out downtown Minneapolis, so I need to figure out a place to park. Well, I guess I did have a spot paid for all day, so I went back to the art museum lot. Then I walked all the way across downtown with the goal of seeing the Stone Arch Bridge. Along the way, I just kind of observed Minneapolis, saw the old courthouse and some other buildings. Minneapolis just feels like a city. There's nothing too crazy going on there, seemed nice enough. Growing up in a relatively smaller town, cities with lots of tall buildings always seemed so exciting, but then I learned it's mostly just office buildings and a lot of space is probably abandoned. When I got to the Stone Arch Bridge, it was close. I could still look at it. Kinda wanted to go across it, but okay. I'm gonna be real, I don't know why I added a full day to spend in the Twin Cities when there are so many cities that didn't get a full day. I'm kinda glad I did. For one, driving in it felt like a warm-up because sure, it's a large metro, but it also doesn't have the most insane traffic. Having now driven in so many cities, I can say that it's pretty manageable. Also, I've been to the Twin Cities a handful of times, but never really visited Minneapolis, so it was nice to check it out. Time to keep moving eastward. So Minneapolis and St. Paul are known as the Twin Cities, but Minneapolis is noticeably larger. Why doesn't Minneapolis, the larger city, simply eat the smaller St. Paul? Okay, I know they have pretty similar populations, especially being located in the same metro. I just find it amusing since Minneapolis has a much more noticeably built up downtown.
At some point on this bridge, we've crossed into Wisconsin. That's what it's all about. Yep, there it is. I guess now we're in Wisconsin. We have immediately hit a traffic jam.
Driving through Wisconsin isn't too different, although there is the increased presence of cheese. Basically, every 10 miles there was yet another place offering their cheeses, but I had a different designated dairy destination down the day. There's some hills and trees, so it's definitely better to drive through than the prairie, but I feel like I need to find something to do this day. I need some kind of obscure attraction. I figured I would find what I was looking for in the Dells.
For those unaware, the Wisconsin Dells are a tourist trap the likes of which I've never seen before. It truly feels as though it is an inverse to a Greek island of myth. Within the vast sea of corn lies this isle of aquatic amusement, drawn in families from near and far, but not too far. This atmosphere is accented by the Olympus Resort, which takes up miles of terra firma in this city. I had sailed just offshore of this place before, but I wanted to go deeper and see what the rest had in store. I was honestly stunned at how never-ending the Dells felt, and I know I didn't even scratch the surface.
I can't lie though, the water parks look sick, and for some reason I don't have any video of those from this year. That's like the whole deal with the Dells. But I figured I could find something near the Dells that was a little less Dellsy, and boy did I. The International Crane Foundation, a zoo which is the only place in the world where you can see all 15 species of crane. Now let's go through all the types. Sandhill, Saurus, Blue, Black-crowned, Gray-crowned, Demoiselle, Wattled, Eurasian, Hooded, Red-crowned, Brolga, Black-necked, White-naped, Whooping, and Siberian. Now, you might have noticed I didn't see the Gray-crowned crane. They were resting out of view, but I've seen them in zoos before, so I'm not torn up. I've seen all 15 species of crane at this point. Also, they all have crane after their common name, except for Brolga. They're just Brolga. The individual cranes also have names, and I thought I'd share a few. The male black-necked crane was named Krusty. The female Demoiselle crane is named Padme, after a Star Wars character, so the male crane must of course be named Anakin, right? Nope. I could give you 100 guesses and you would not be able to guess what Star Wars name they used. In fact, you would probably have a better chance if you just started guessing random names. Before I share, pause, comment your guesses, I want to see them. Quote, he is named after Jedi Knight Jurat Shemel Elio's personal starship Oberon. Crazy level of nerddom that he isn't named Oberon after the folklore character, but a Glup Shitto's ship. Additionally, this zoo has only cranes. I gotta respect them for sticking to the gimmicks. So many niche zoos I've seen other types of animals at. One last fun fact, Siberian cranes have the longest migration of all cranes at over 3,000 miles, which is like driving from Boston to Los Angeles. Could you imagine? I might be able to, yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, I can't because I did something even worse and longer. Drive through Wisconsin, get caught in rush hour in Milwaukee. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with this every day. I know it can get worse too. Like, if I lived in a big city, I would have to be somewhere with good public transit because I could not sit in traffic every day just to save a little time. Eventually, I reached my aforementioned cheese place, the Mars Cheese Castle. I had no idea what to expect on the inside. Would it be a factory? Would it be a store just absolutely brimming with cheese, or more of a tacky restaurant? It's just kind of a normal store with an emphasis on cheese products and a bit of medieval decor. And this fucking thing.
Do you guys have a shirt that says, I lost my cheese ginity in Kenosha, Wisconsin?
Aisle 7.
This is the best day of my life.
They didn't have that shirt, and I checked. Honestly, this place didn't really live up to my expectations. Although I had no idea what I was in for, I just kind of thought it'd be wackier.
I'm just not sure I see the hype in the cheese castle, you know? That's a danger to me and my others.
Then, the last event of the day.
Well, the sign was behind that truck, but state number 6, Illinois.
Finally went over to my hotel, and tomorrow would check out Chicago. Now, when it comes to finding hotels, it's a balance between price, location, and not wanting bed bugs. Most hotels downtown were too expensive for me. Stuff on the outskirts was a bit cheaper, but would take a while to get downtown. So the middle ground I found was staying at a hotel near Midway Airport. Was this insane? Kind of, but it worked. It meant that day I wouldn't have to drive a car whatsoever because I did not want to drive in downtown Chicago. As I set off on the train heading into Chicago, the reality of the trip I had embarked on started to set in. I'd be alone, almost always, in completely new places for the next 5 weeks of my life. Oh no, why did I do this? Next time on The Big Loop 2.
I thought I would climax in Ohio today.
Thanks for watching part 1 of The Big Loop 2. I'd really appreciate you like and subscribe. Plus, subscribing helps make sure you don't miss any of the parts. But if you want some more Big Loop content right now, you can check out last year's failed attempt or follow the other Ocean Man social medias in the description. I'll probably be posting a lot of Big Loop related stuff. You know, I've been working on this for quite a while, and I'm pretty nervous now that it's actually out. You know, what's gonna happen. But, it took me longer than I thought, but, just wanted to be ready. So, once again, thanks for watching.